My sister said my art was embarrassing, and I should keep it private. Her new boss had 3 of my paintings hanging in his office. My older sister Gina had opinions about everything I did, but nothing bothered her more than my painting. When I was 14, I saved up for months to buy my first real canvas and acrylic set. I spent 3 weeks on a sunset landscape and showed it to her, so excited I could barely breathe. She looked at it for maybe 2 seconds and said it looked like something a kindergartner would make. She said I was wasting my time and money on a hobby I had no talent for. I put the painting in my closet and didn't look at it for a year. In high school, I entered a piece in the student art show and Gina found out. She came to my room the night before and told me to withdraw it. She said people would laugh at me, and she didn't want to be associated with the embarrassment. I withdrew it. In college, I started painting again in secret, only working when my roommate was gone. Gina visited once and found a canvas drying by the window. She picked it up, studied it, and said some people just aren't meant to be artists, and there's no shame in accepting that. She threw it in the trash on her way out. I stopped painting for 3 years after that. When I turned 24, I started therapy for anxiety, and my therapist asked what I used to love doing before I learned to be afraid. I said painting. She told me to try again, just for myself, with no intention of showing anyone. So I did. I rented a tiny storage unit and turned it into a studio. I painted every weekend for 18 months and nobody knew. I got better. I developed a style. Deep blues and golds, abstract figures that looked like they were dissolving into light. A friend who worked at a gallery saw one piece by accident when she helped me move some supplies. She asked if she could show it to her boss. I said yes, but made her promise to use a fake name. Within 6 months, I had sold 9 paintings under the name Marlowe Blue. A collector in the city bought 4 pieces at once. An interior design magazine featured my work in a spread about emerging artists. I kept it completely secret from my family because I couldn't handle Gina finding out and destroying the one thing I had rebuilt from nothing. Gina got a new job at a prestigious architecture firm downtown. She talked about it constantly at family dinners. Her boss was this visionary named Roland, who had impeccable taste and only surrounded himself with excellence. She was desperate to impress him. She mentioned once that his office was like a museum, filled with art from artists she'd never heard of, but that probably cost more than her car. She was angling for a promotion and had been working late every night trying to prove herself. One Sunday she called me panicked because Roland had invited the whole team to a dinner party at his home and she needed to bring someone impressive. She said, "And don't wear anything weird and don't talk about your little hobbies. Just smile and let me do the talking." I almost said no, but part of me wanted to see this world she thought I could never belong to. The dinner party was at a brownstone in the nicest part of the city. Roland greeted us at the door, a tall man in his 60s with kind eyes and paint-stained fingers he clearly hadn't scrubbed hard enough. I noticed immediately. Gina didn't. She launched into her rehearsed introduction, talking about her projects and her vision for the firm. Roland nodded politely, but his attention kept drifting. Then we walked into his living room, and I stopped breathing. Above his fireplace was a 6-foot canvas of deep blue and gold, an abstract figure dissolving into light. My painting, the one the collector had bought. On the adjacent wall were 2 more, both mine. Gina was still talking, gesturing at the architecture, completely oblivious. Roland noticed me staring and walked over. He said, "You recognize them." I couldn't speak. He said these are by an artist named Marlowe Blue. I've been collecting her work for 2 years. Whoever she is, she's going to be important. I felt tears welling up, and I couldn't stop them. Finally, Gina noticed I wasn't beside her and walked over. She laughed nervously and said sorry about my sister. She gets emotional about random things. Roland looked at me, then at her, and something shifted in his expression. He said, "Your sister has excellent taste. These paintings changed how I think about color." The Gina glanced at the wall and shrugged. She said, "They're fine, I guess, but I don't really get abstract art. It just looks like shapes to me." Roland's face cooled slightly. He said, "Marlowe Blue is the most exciting artist I've discovered in a decade. I'd give quite a lot to meet her." I wiped my eyes and said, "She's standing in front of you." The room went completely silent. Roland's eyes went wide. Gina's mouth opened, but nothing came out. I said, "Marlowe Blue is me. I've been painting in secret for years because my sister told me I had no talent and I believed her." Roland looked at Gina with an expression I can only describe as disappointment mixed with disgust. He turned back to me and said, "I would very much like to see your studio." Gina stood frozen, her face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and something that looked like fear. Roland offered me a solo exhibition at a gallery his foundation sponsors, and it opens next month. Gina didn't get the promotion, and she still hasn't apologized, but I stopped needing her to a long time ago.